Warning, graphic content. This video is very disturbing. This is Irvo Otieno. He was a mentally ill young man that died by suffocation from deputies and members of the hospital staff.
With knee on his neck.
20 minutes after entering the admissions room, Otieno appears to be immobile. The Washington Post says resuscitation efforts lasted less than an hour. He died at the scene.
10 people have been arrested and charged with his murder. 7 sheriff officials and 3 mental hospital workers in Virginia forcefully pinned down a mentally ill patient, Irvo Otieno, until he stopped moving and his body went limp. The video was released by the prosecutors who charged these people because this guy was 28 years old and he was struggling under their body weight. They pinned him down for at least 11 minutes straight, non-stop. At one point, it was at least 10 people pushing down on his body. He was already restrained on the floor. He wasn't combative to any of them until probably he could not breathe. He was trying to move, and of course he couldn't move because they're all on top of him. We have to do better when it comes to dealing with mentally ill patients. This young man was 28 years old. He had just released a song out there, and everybody said that he was friendly, will give you his last, will help you with anything, but he just needed to be on his medication. And he wanted to go to the hospital. This is sad how they done this young man. Here goes the rest of the story, and y'all do better out there on y'all job. These are human beings. They're not animals. Now, this young man is gone behind some stupidity, and then everyone that stood around and watched this happen need to be arrested too. Because I know this young man was probably screaming for his life for them to get up off of him. Here goes the rest of the story. Do better. But you saw yourself. Welcome to Straddled Events. On this channel, we bring you the truth. Sometimes the truth is quite ugly, unbearable, and you just don't want to deal with it. But on this channel, you're going to get it anyway. You are straddled the fence of good versus evil, right versus wrong. And on this channel, we're going to tell you to do better. Please like, dislike, subscribe, and share the videos. Now let's go.
Now to a death at a state hospital in Virginia where at least 10 deputies and staff members have been charged. Some new video shows them piling up on the patient. We need to warn you this morning, the surveillance footage may be difficult to watch. This is video from Central State Hospital on March 6th that shows sheriff's deputies bringing in 28-year-old Irvo Otieno, holding him down on the ground. Investigators say they were told he had been combative. At one point, it appears at least 10 people were on top of him. His body went limp about 11 minutes later. This video was obtained by the Washington Post from public filings and was edited down to 9 minutes. 7 sheriff's deputies and 3 staff members at that hospital have been charged with second-degree murder.
And people face second-degree murder charges in the suffocation death of a mentally ill man inside a Virginia psychiatric hospital. As CBS 2's Nicole D'Antonio reports, it was all caught on camera, and we do need to warn you, the video is disturbing.
This silent video shows Henrico County Sheriff's deputies bringing Irvo Otieno into Central State Hospital's admission room on March 6th. Handcuffed and in leg irons, he never made it to a chair. About 5 minutes later, he's laying on the floor and additional deputies step in. 3 minutes after that, more deputies and hospital staff pile on. At one point, at least 10 people are pushing into Otieno, who was pinned down for about 11 minutes. Ben Crump is the family attorney. He also represented the family of George Floyd.
You see him being restrained so brutally with knee on his neck.
20 minutes after entering the admission room, Otieno appears motionless. Hospital staff begin CPR and call 911.
Is the patient aggressive or is he not? No, he used to be aggressive, right? So they're trying to put him in restraints. Then eventually he's no longer breathing.
Emergency crews were not able to revive the 28-year-old. Otieno's mother saw the video last week.
My son was tortured.
7 sheriff's deputies and 3 hospital workers have been charged with second-degree murder. Caleb Kirshner represents Deputy Randy Boyer.
My client's involvement in while at Central State was simply tried holding his leg or conducting the TDO paperwork or at times adjusting the leg irons. So at no time did he have any contact with his upper body.
Final autopsy findings have not yet been released, but prosecutors said in court Otieno was smothered to death. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
Otieno's family says that he was experiencing mental distress when he was picked up by police. Before he was brought to the mental hospital, they say that he was denied his medications and was subjected to brutality by officers. The video of that has not been made available. Otieno has no prior criminal history.
We understand that he was, from the mother, that he had some medication that she was trying to get to him. The events began on March 3rd. When he was first taken into custody at the jail. Well, first they tried to take him to the hospital for a mental health evaluation. He becomes what police say is assaultive. That's the word they use. And then he's transported to the jail. Caroline Oko, the mother, tries to get medication to him at some point, according to her lawyers. But we don't know what illness he has been diagnosed with, if any. We still are trying to figure out, whether there were policies in place that weren't followed, for a mental health patient, or, what the state of play was at that time. These are early days still in this investigation.
Well, Salvador, Washington Post doing some excellent reporting, and kudos on getting this video, getting access to this video. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Irvo Otieno's brother, Leon Ochieng, and the family's lawyer, Benjamin Crump, join us now. Gentlemen, thank you so much for talking with us, especially at this difficult time. Leon, your family fought for this video to be released. What was going through your mind today as the entire world saw the footage?
It was deafening. It's loud. For 11 minutes to sit there and watch it, and just to imagine exactly what his body was going through. For me and my family, with every replay, every airing of the video, Ivor is constantly dying over and over to us. So we're living a nightmare, and it's indescribable. It's indescribable.
I can imagine. As we watch that video, one shocking element is the number of people in the room as this is happening. The people directly involved have been indicted, but what do you say to those who witnessed these events and didn't do anything to stop it?
I think all of them need to be charged. Honestly, if you ask me, if I was in position to indict them myself, I would say they participated, because you, as a caretaker, you vow to take care of those who are ill and not to interrupt and stop it. What about common sense? What about calling the Virginia State Police and saying, we have a situation that is very, very scary going on right now. We need backup. We need backup. We need to stop these men from killing this young man, because in the state hospital, you're supposed to be taken care of and not murdered.
And Leon, I'm not sure if Mr. Crump can hear me, but I know you're standing right next to him. So just asking if he's concerned at all that perhaps releasing this video might taint the jury pool.
Mr. Crump, they want to know if you're concerned, what your concerns were about the release of the videotape and how it might have impacted the jury pool.
I don't think when you balance not saying anything and not being transparent, when it's black people, we might not get a jury.
Right.
So that's why we have to make sure that we have the video released. I mean, think about for decades when black people would say we were brutalized and the police would present a narrative to justify the unjustified killings of black people. So no, we want transparency paramount to all else.
Leon, tell us what kind of man your brother was, how you describe him to those of us who never had the chance to meet him.
To me, my brother was a creator. He was creative. He often was writing his music. The last conversation I had with my brother was we were planning to do a family beach trip for my birthday. And he's the kind of guy that he'd have a sandwich, and instead of eating all of it, he would say, do you want a bite? Or if he's going to get some food, he would say, yo, bro, you want to go get something to eat? He was a community. I want to say, what I'm trying to say is he was known in the community. His friends are so diverse. His involvement in the community goes back to being a leader at the Leaders Club of the local YMCA in Tuckahoe, Richmond. And he was there. He went to leader school, and every single person knew him as a guy who, you would want on your team. So if you're playing a pickup basketball game, you want Ivor, you want Vo in your squad. So that's who my brother was. He was a star athlete. He was loved by everyone in the community, but he was battling with his mental health, and he was trying. I'll have conversations that I can't even get into right now because I'd probably need the whole day to talk about. But I have long conversations with him where we're just crying together and we're talking about what he's thinking, how he's feeling. He cared about his health, and he wanted to go to the hospital to get help. He didn't want to get in a squad car because he could tell the difference between a squad car and an ambulance. Right. Squad car, you're going to jail. Ambulance, you're going to the hospital. But that should have never happened to him.
Of course not. And if you can just ask one more question, I'm sorry about this, to Mr. Crump. What kinds of alarm bells does this set off to the degree that he had sought out mental help, that he had gone to a mental hospital, and that this was the result?
I'll say exactly what my mother said, and we're very transparent and consistent with our story. All systems failed Irvo Otieno. It starts with the local government. It starts with the hospitals. They need to change the way they approach, and that's why we're calling for Irvo alert. That way, when you make a phone call and you say, I have an Irvo alert, a loved one is not well, it's mental health crisis, not 12 officers showing up with tasers ready to put you down.
Leon Otieno, Benjamin Crump, we thank you both so much for talking with us. We'll keep in touch with you as the investigations progress.